Okay, 10 diaries. Number 1. I arrived yesterday, Tuesday, May 14th. I arrived at like 12:30 p.m. and pretty much immediately just went to get my badge, which is your first taste of the festival, kind of. So you get your badge at like the Station Maritime, which is turned into like the badge center. And that was already really exciting for me because I was able to stand with all the professionals and hear everybody's conversations and feel like a part of the thing already. And then you get your badge. Wait, let me go get my badge. Which is so exciting. Everybody wears these all over the place. So you have this, you basically have some form of credibility and you feel like you're part of the gang. So that's the first thing I got, because then I immediately went to a screening, a 4K restoration of Napoleon by Abel Gance, which is a movie from 1927. It's originally like 7 hours long, and I really wanted to see this. Originally I was not able to get tickets. That's a whole thing, like how to get tickets. It's like an online ticket thing. It's kind of the Hunger Games. You either get tickets online through your account, or you can do like last minute queues, and I did a lot of that today. Going back, okay, so I saw Abel Gance, Napoleon. Amazing. I did feel the length, I won't lie. I felt the length of it, but it's insanely modern. The choices, the camera work, the colors, the editing, oh my god, the editing is so modern. So you're like, wait, I've seen this before, but then you realize, no, this happened before anything that I'm thinking of. Amazing to see that on a big screen. And so that's the only thing I saw yesterday because I wasn't able to get tickets for the opening ceremonies, and I don't have anything to wear fancy enough to be able to get into the galley events that are at like 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. in like the main theater called the Théâtre Louis Lumière, where like the red steps are. Speaking of red steps, today at 9 a.m. I was able to walk up the red steps because I was seeing Le Deuxième Acte, the second act, which opened the festival last night. I didn't get tickets for the séance d'ouverture, as I said, and so I saw it this morning at 9 in the main theater, so I had to walk up the red stairs. That was surreal, walking up the red stairs. I was not dressed up or anything. I was literally wearing this. But just walking up the stairs and seeing, the stairs from that point of view was crazy. And then I was able to go into the main theater, which was very cool. I was in the very top, but I could see the screen well enough to understand. Thankfully, it was in French, so I didn't have to read subtitles. So, Le Deuxième Acte, Quentin Dupieux. I liked it enough. There were definitely moments where I really laughed. Some really good jokes and some really solid performances, or at least interactions between the actors. Some jokes and some bits were veering towards something I didn't enjoy that much, that felt kind of like, oh, he's not old, Quentin Dupieux, but like, I'm a middle-aged French white guy who feels like he can't complain anymore, so I'm gonna do it vicariously through my characters. Other than that, it was pretty funny. I liked how it kind of played on this idea of like, fiction and reality and what's real, what's acting, etc. I think that's interesting. I understand the choice of using it as the opening film for the festival because it's, it is a reflection about film in a way. And after that, what did I do after that? God, I already forgot. Oh yeah, I did not have any other tickets for the day, so the rest of the day was spent in lines trying to get into showings. The first line I did was for the opening of La Quinzaine des Cinéastes, the director's fortnight. It takes place usually in other theaters, not in like the main part, not in the Palais des Festivals. I was able to get in thanks to the last minute line. Those are the names of the lines that you can get in when you're not able to get a ticket, but you have this badge, and so you can get in if there are like people who don't show up or there are extra seats. So, the opening showing was their project called The Factory that they do every year, which is a project where they choose a country, and like directors need to apply from this specific country. So this year it was the Philippines. They basically pair people from the country of the year. So they paired directors from the Philippines this year with another director from another country. This year it happened to be a lot of Asian directors, and they have to make a short film in a year. So the showing was 4 short films by 2 directors each time, so co-directed by 2 people. There was a Q&A at the end. I wasn't able to stay too much I really enjoyed seeing the 4 short films. They had their differences, but they also had their similarities, which is interesting because I think it's somewhat related to the fact that they're all made partially by people from the Philippines. You sense that identity through their film in a way. The first one I loved. So good. Beautiful. The dancing really brought me somewhere. I love the imagery. I love the visual parallels. It really had an effect on me. I felt that even though I didn't necessarily understand everything of the intrigue, I don't think that was the point of it. I think it was about the echoing of images and the echoing of memories through time. I'm not sure if it's grief or if it's a breakup, but as you have lost someone, because that's kind of what the movie is about. But dance is a big part of it too, and I thought the dance was beautifully filmed, and the environment is beautifully filmed too. I just really liked it. I'm anxious to see more from these 2 directors. Yeah, just a great film. It was a great first impression of this Philippines factory from the director's fortnight. Second film, also really liked. This one more overtly about grief. Very strong performances. I'd say the performances are what drive this one. A great pairing of these 2 actors that really express, well, it was also about grief, funnily enough. That was kind of a theme throughout these movies. Yeah, they're able to kind of really portray this thing of like this bittersweetness of knowing that you're gonna die, but also realizing that this is your one chance to do everything that you want to do and feel everything that you want to feel. Some great imagery in this one too, some great shots. The main actress, who is the character who has terminal cancer and who's trying to basically live her best last couple days with this woman. It's just, yeah, it's beautiful. It's very touching, but it's very funny too. The directors talked about that afterwards, how they wanted to do something that expressed their sadness that they both shared. But also, she said, the director from the Philippines, I think, we want to make a movie that makes people sad. That was one of the first things that they told each other, the 2 directors, when they met through this factory program. But they also ended up making something that's quite funny too. You know, there are great jokes, there are great moments between these 2 characters of complicity. Third one, very different, more fantasy genre mixed with a poetic thing, which I liked too, which I connected to slightly less because maybe I'm not a huge fantasy enjoyer. And when I say fantasy, I don't mean it's the Lord of the Rings, but it has animation, which I love, uses animation and drawings too, and uses mythology and things like that, which I enjoyed, and the parallels between the animation and the prise de vue réelle I enjoyed, but I didn't connect to the story as much because it was kind of in the fantasy genre, but it's undeniably, very creative film. And so it makes you kind of excited for whatever these 2 directors have next, because they definitely have an interesting way of pairing prise de vue réelle and animation and drawings and mixing different frame rates too and textures. So I really enjoyed that. I always love when people aren't afraid to play with the cinematic image. So I enjoyed that. And the last one, very different, black and white, which for me immediately takes me somewhere else and in a good way. A very visual film, very much about visual storytelling, more so than the others, I'd say. Although the first one was also really about visual storytelling. Very poetic, very slow, I'd say, than the other ones. I enjoyed it too. I enjoyed the relationship between what appeared to be a mother-daughter relationship and this idea of the mother wanting to leave and the daughter suffering from that, but also, I'm not gonna lie, I slept through like maybe 2 minutes of it, and I didn't understand everything because I also struggled to read all the subtitles. Some great sentiments, some great feelings that I felt watching it even without understanding the intrigue, which I think is always a good sign when you maybe don't understand all the words because it's a foreign film to you, but it still reaches you and makes you feel things, and I think that's the most important thing. And so it was able to do that for me, which is why I think it was a good short film. But I would maybe like to see it again to kind of be able to analyze it further and appreciate it further, even though, as I've said, I did like it. Some very gorgeous shots, too, with that one. So I stayed a tiny bit for the Q&A, but had to leave because I wanted to get in line for the Meryl Streep Q&A that was happening today. I waited about an hour, if not more, but did not get in. Same thing as with the director's fortnight I had seen right before. I waited in the last minute line. We don't have any tickets, but it did not work this time because, everybody wanted to go see Meryl Streep, which I understand. But so I wasted quite a bit of time waiting for that. And after that, I had a bite to eat because I hadn't eaten eaten anything. I really lose my appetite when I do these kinds of things. I'm just like on the go. But I had time, so I went to eat a bite on the beach. That was really fun. And then I went back into a last minute line because I had no other tickets for the day. I waited in line for Raw Diamond, Diamant Brut, which is in the official competition of the festival, and I did not get in either. So more waiting for nothing. That's something that I think I'm gonna have to get used to in the next couple of days, is just waiting and maybe for nothing. But after that, after the disappointment of yet another failed attempt at getting last minute tickets, I went to I don't know if it was the opening, but I think it's the opening film of La Semaine de la Critique, which is another parallel event to the Festival de Cannes, as is the Director's Fortnight, Le Quinzaine du Cinéaste. They are taking place at the same time and are included in the programming and in the ticketing office. So the last film that I saw during the day was Simon de la Montagne, Argentinian film, and I loved it. It's my first real coup de cœur of the festival. It was absolutely beautiful. It really struck a chord in me. It's a film about Simon, who, I mean, it's unclear to me, and it's unclear, I think, in the story as well, but he appears to have a disability. That's how I read it anyways. Some sort of mental disability, but it's unclear as to why he has it. It seems like it's not something he was born with. There's this conflict with his mother where she doesn't acknowledge it. Anyways, it's a coming of age story. It was presented at the beginning of the screening, and the team was there, and I sat right behind the film team and next to part of the film team, which was crazy. That's like something it's nothing really, but sitting behind them as they were watching their movie, that was really special to me. But I loved this movie. I loved it. It was a beautiful film that is about disabilities and is about being human with a disability, and that not being the only thing that drives you, and that just being something that you live with rather than something that you are defined by constantly, even though the movie does play on how you can use your disability to your advantage, which was really funny to me. So I think it's a movie that is really sensitive of what it talks about and is really real about the issues of being disabled, while also being super human and poetic, and oh my god, it made me cry. It's my first cry, my first tears of the festival, because it's just very tender. Yeah, I think it's a must watch. Out of all the films I've seen so far, this is the one I would say, if it comes out like near you, go check it out. I would love to know how everybody reacts to this film, because I've been posting on Letterboxd, and I saw that some people didn't like it very much, so I'm curious to know who likes it, who doesn't, and why, etc. But yeah, this is a great movie. I loved it. I was so into it. I was fully taken. I loved it. It was a great way to end the day. I was going to try and get some last minute tickets for the opening of Un Certain Regard, which is part of the official Cannes Film Festival, and I wanted to be able to see the jury, Xavier Dolan, etc. But yeah, I didn't end up doing it. So that's Cannes so far, and I will be back once I've seen more things. Thank you for watching.